I'm Rachel, trapped in a life that's bled me dry, where every day feels like I'm sinking deeper into a gray, suffocating fog. My job is a soul-crushing grind. My spirit's been hollowed out, and even the simplest things sting like open wounds. But there's Ethan, my husband, the one steady light in this endless storm, until a mysterious drive to a remote cabin in the heart of a dark forest flips everything I thought I knew upside down. What started as an escape turned into a night of forbidden sparks and dangerous desires, awakening something inside me I thought was long dead. What did I uncover in that shadowy cabin, and how far did I go to feel alive again? There's a peculiar hum in the silence of a gray Tuesday morning, a kind of quiet that presses against my skin like a damp cloth. I'm Rachel, 28 years old, lying flat on my back in a bed that feels more like a coffin than a sanctuary. The ceiling above me is a blank canvas of nothing, and I'm staring at it as if it might suddenly reveal some grand secret to pull me out of this hollow shell I've become. My limbs are heavy, like they've been packed with wet sand, sinking into the mattress with every breath I force myself to take. I don't want to move. I don't want to think. But the world doesn't care about what I want. It never has. I'm burned out, scorched to the core by a job that drains every ounce of life from me. I'm a marketing coordinator, a title that sounds fancier than it is. In reality, it's just a fancy way of saying I'm a cog in a machine that churns out endless emails, pointless meetings, and fake smiles for people I couldn't care less about. My inbox is a battlefield, overflowing with demands and deadlines that make my chest tighten just thinking about them. The chatter of my coworkers, their endless small talk about weekend plans and reality TV, grates on me like nails on a chalkboard. Even the sound of my own breathing feels like a chore, a rhythmic reminder that I'm still here, still stuck in this monotony that's turned me into a husk of who I used to be. Everything irritates me. The way the coffee machine at work sputters like it's mocking me. The way my phone buzzes with notifications I don't have the energy to check. The way the world keeps spinning when all I want is for it to stop, just for a moment, so I can catch my breath. But there's one thing, one person, who doesn't grate on my nerves. Ethan, my husband. He's 32, a quiet and steady presence in this storm I can't seem to escape. He moves through our small apartment like a ghost, not in a haunting way, but in a way that feels almost too gentle for the chaos inside me. This morning, like every morning lately, he sets a mug of chamomile tea on the bedside table without a word. The steam curls upward, a faint whisper of warmth in this cold, gray space. His hazel eyes meet mine for just a second. A fleeting connection before he turns away, heading out to his job as a freelance graphic designer. There's no judgment in his gaze, no frustration, just something I can't name, something I can't reach. The silence between us isn't tense, not like you'd expect when things are falling apart. It's heavier than that, weighted with all the things we don't say. I used to be the one who filled our home with laughter, with late-night conversations that stretched until the sun crept through the curtains. Used to be the one who'd pull him close, my hands tracing his back. Later that day, after the chamomile tea has long gone cold on the bedside table, Ethan comes back into the room with a different kind of energy. His steps are deliberate, his hazel eyes carrying a quiet determination I haven't seen in weeks. He sits on the edge of the bed, the mattress dipping slightly under his weight, and his voice is low, almost a whisper, as he tells me to pack a bag. Not much, just a small duffel. Sweaters, jeans, nothing fancy. His instructions are clear, but there's no room for questions, no space for me to push back. I don't have the energy to argue anyway, so I move like a robot, my hands pulling clothes from drawers and folding them with mechanical precision, my mind barely registering what I'm doing. The duffel zips shut with a sound that feels too final, and I just stand there for a moment, staring at it, wondering why I feel like I'm packing for something bigger than I can grasp. We're in the old Subaru before I can even process what's happening. The engine grumbles to life, a familiar sound that used to mean weekend getaways or late-night drives just to clear our heads. But this isn't that. This is something else, something heavier. We leave the city behind, the concrete jungle fading in the rearview mirror as the landscape shifts. First, it's rolling hills, soft and green even in the gray light of the afternoon. Then, as the hours drag on, the hills give way to dense forest, a wall of pine trees blurring past my window. I stare out at them, my forehead pressed against the cool glass, watching the world slip by in streaks of dark green and shadow. The silence in the car is suffocating, thicker than the air outside. Ethan's hands are tight on the steering wheel, his knuckles pale, his jaw set like he's chewing on words he won't let out. I don't ask where we're going. I don't have the strength to form the question, and deep down, I'm not sure I want the answer. Exhaustion weighs on me like a lead blanket, but there's something else too. A tiny flicker of curiosity. A faint spark in the ashes of my burned-out self. What could be waiting at the end of this road? The drive stretches on forever, or at least it feels that way. My eyes grow heavy, the hum of the tires on the pavement lulling me into a half-sleep where thoughts drift like fog. It's only when the car slows, the crunch of gravel under the wheels pulling me back to reality, that I realize we've arrived. Dusk is falling. The sky is a bruised shade of purple as we pull up to an old wooden house tucked at the edge of a forest clearing. The air outside is crisp when I step out, sharp with the scent of pine and damp earth, biting at my skin through the thin sweater I'm wearing. The house looms in front of us, weathered gray clapboard siding peeling at the edges. I'm sitting stiffly on the couch in this old wooden house, the fire crackling in the hearth, casting flickering shadows across the room. Its warmth brushes against my skin, but it does nothing to ease the tension knotting my shoulders. I feel like a coiled spring, ready to snap at the slightest touch. The air is thick with something unspoken, a weight I can't name but can't ignore either. My hands are clasped tightly in my lap, fingers digging into my palms as I try to anchor myself to something, anything, in this strange, unfamiliar space. Caleb, the bearded one with eyes like storm clouds, stands from his seat across the room. His boots scuff against the worn wooden floor, each step deliberate, echoing in the quiet. My gaze flicks up to him as he approaches, slow and measured, stopping just a foot away from me. His presence looms, not threatening, but heavy, like the air before a thunderstorm. He looks down at me, his gaze steady, unyielding, and then he reaches out. His hand hovers for a moment before brushing a stray piece of lint off my shoulder. It's a small gesture, insignificant really, but his fingers linger near my hair for a split second, barely grazing the strands. My breath catches in my throat, a jolt shooting through me, sharp and electric. It's a rush I haven't felt in months, maybe years. A warmth blooms in my chest, unfamiliar and disorienting, and I don't pull away. I can't. I'm frozen, caught in the intensity of his stare, in the unexpected heat of that fleeting touch. From the corner of my eye, I see Marcus and Leo at the table, their silence heavier than the logs burning in the fire. They're watching, their expressions unreadable, but I feel the weight of their attention like a physical thing. Across the room, Ethan sits in an armchair, his posture relaxed, but his hazel eyes fixed on me, unblinking. There's something in his gaze I can't decipher, something that makes my stomach twist in a way that's both unsettling and strangely thrilling. My mind is a storm of confusion, thoughts crashing against each other. I shouldn't feel this way, not with Caleb so close, not with Ethan right there. I've been numb for so long, a hollow shell of myself, and now this spark, This pull feels like waking up from a long, dark sleep. But it's wrong, isn't it? Or is it? I don't know anymore. I'm torn between the comfort of the familiar and this raw, uncharted hunger stirring inside me. Then Caleb steps closer, his hand brushing down my arm, a slow, deliberate motion that sends a shiver racing across my skin. I don't stop him. I don't want to. My heart is pounding, a wild rhythm I can't control, and I feel the warmth of his touch seeping into me, melting something frozen deep within. Marcus and Leo rise from their seats, moving toward me with a hesitance that quickly fades. Leo's fingers trace the inside of my wrist, light as a whisper, but it's enough to make my pulse stutter. Marcus's hand rests on my knee, firm and grounding, a quiet strength in the contact. Their warmth surrounds me, a cocoon of sensation I didn't know I was starving for. It's like I've been underwater for months, gasping for air, and now I'm finally breaking the surface. Every touch, every brush of skin against skin, ignites something I thought had died long ago. I'm alive again, or at least I'm starting to remember what that feels like. I glance at Ethan, my breath uneven, expecting to see anger or hurt in his eyes. I'm betraying him, right here in front of him, letting these strangers cross boundaries I never thought I'd allow. But there's no guilt in me, only this desperate, hungry need to feel something, anything, after so much nothingness. I brace myself for his reaction, but what I see stops me cold. He's holding a glass of red wine, the deep crimson catching the firelight, and his expression isn't one of betrayal. It's quiet, almost serene, with a... The cabin is steeped in a heavy stillness now, the kind that feels like it's holding its breath right along with me. I'm back on the couch, the rough fabric scratching against my skin through the thin blanket I've pulled tight around my shoulders. The fire in the hearth has dwindled to glowing embers, casting a faint, warm light that barely reaches the corners of the room. It's quieter than it was before, the crackling of the logs replaced by an almost suffocating calm. Over at the table, Marcus, Leo, and Caleb have retreated, their low murmurs blending into the background like a distant hum. They're giving me space. I can feel it. But their presence still lingers like a weight I can't shake off. My mind is a tangled mess, racing with the echoes of what just unfolded, those moments of connection, of heat that I never saw coming. My skin still tingles where their hands brushed against me, a phantom sensation that won't fade, like the memory of a flame held too close. My heart isn't racing anymore, not like it was in the thick of it, but it beats slower now, heavier, each thud resonating in my chest like a drum in an empty room. I can't sit still, not really, even though I'm curled into the corner of the couch. My fingers clutch the edge of the blanket, twisting the fabric as if it could anchor me to some kind of clarity. But there's no clarity here, only a storm of feelings I don't know how to name. I glance across the room to where Ethan sits in the armchair, his posture as steady as ever. He's swirling the last dregs of red wine in his glass, the liquid catching the dim light in fleeting crimson sparks. His hazel eyes are on me, soft but piercing, like he's seeing straight through the chaos in my head. I can't tell if it's judgment or something else, something deeper, and that uncertainty gnaws at me. I should feel ashamed, shouldn't I? I keep waiting for that familiar weight of guilt to settle over me, to drag me down for letting things go as far as they did, for letting myself be touched, be seen in ways I hadn't been in so long. But it doesn't come. Instead, there's this strange, fragile gratitude blooming inside me, like a crack in a frozen lake letting the first trickle of water through. I feel renewed somehow, as if a part of me that's been buried under layers of numbness has started to claw its way back to the surface. I don't fully understand it, And maybe I don't want to. Not yet. All I know is that something has shifted, and I'm not the same hollow shell I was when we pulled up to this cabin in the fading dusk. My thoughts churn, relentless, as I try to make sense of it all. I've been so numb for months, maybe even years, trudging through each day like a ghost in my own life. I'd forgotten what it felt like to want, to crave anything beyond the basic need to keep breathing. Desire, real, raw, unfiltered desire, had become a foreign language to me, something I could barely remember how to speak. But tonight, in this strange, unexpected moment, something cracked open inside me. It wasn't just about the warmth of their hands or the way my pulse quickened under their gaze. It was more than that. It was like remembering I'm still here, still alive, still capable of feeling something other than the endless gray of burnout. And even if it was unconventional, even if it danced on the edge of what I thought I knew about myself, it woke me up in a way I didn't think was possible anymore. I can't sit with these thoughts any longer, not with the weight of Ethan's stare pressing against me. My legs feel unsteady, like they might betray me, but I push myself up from the couch anyway, the blanket slipping off my shoulders and pooling behind me. The cool air of the cabin bites at my skin as I move, each step deliberate, until I reach the window on the far side of the room. I press my palms against the cold glass, staring out into the dark forest. I'm still standing by the window, my palms pressed against the icy glass. The dark forest outside, a void that mirrors the turmoil swirling inside me. The cold seeps into my skin, grounding me, but it can't quiet the storm of emotions that's been unleashed. My breath fogs the glass in shallow bursts, each one a reminder of how alive I feel right now, despite everything. I can still sense Ethan's gaze on me from across the room, a silent force that pulls at me even when I'm not looking at him. It's like a tether, one I've always felt but never understood until this very moment. I've been so lost, so adrift in my own emptiness. But tonight has changed something fundamental. I can't ignore it, and I don't want to. I hear the faint creak of the floorboards behind me, a sound so familiar it could only be him. My heart skips, a nervous flutter as I feel the air shift with his approach. Then he's there, close enough that I can feel the warmth radiating from him, a stark contrast to the chill of the window. Ethan steps even nearer, his breath warm against the back of my neck, sending a shiver down my spine that has nothing to do with the cold. His arms come around me from behind, slow and deliberate, pulling me into a gentle embrace that feels like coming home after a long, brutal journey. I lean into him instinctively, my cheek pressing against the soft, worn texture of his sweater. It's rough, yet comforting, a tactile memory of countless nights spent curled up together. His scent wraps around me too, that familiar mix of his cologne, something earthy and warm, mingled with the faint smokiness clinging to him from the cabin's fire. It's intoxicating, grounding, a reminder of everything we've been through and everything we still are. His voice comes then, low and raw, a whisper that vibrates against my skin. I wanted you to remember who you are, Rachel. I've watched you fade, and I couldn't stand it. I want us to do this again if it brings you back. His words hit me like a wave, crashing over the walls I've built around myself. I'm stunned, my breath hitching in my throat as I process what he's saying. He's not angry, he's not hurt, he's accepting. More than that, he's yearning to see me alive again, to see me feel something, even if it means stepping outside every boundary we've ever known. It's not just permission, it's a plea, a shared longing to reclaim something we've both lost in the grind of life. My chest tightens, not with pain, but with a rush of something I haven't felt in so long. Hope, maybe, or something even deeper. I turn in his arms, needing to see his face, needing to look into those hazel eyes that have always been my anchor. When I do, I'm met with a gaze so intense it steals the air from my lungs. There's love there, yes, but there's something else too. A hunger, a shared craving for something beyond the ordinary, beyond the mundane life that's been suffocating us both. It's like looking into a mirror of my own desires, the ones I've only just begun to acknowledge. My hands come up to rest on his chest, feeling the steady beat of his heart under my fingertips, and I'm overwhelmed by a surge of emotions I can barely name. There's relief, sharp and bright, that he's not pushing me away after what happened earlier. There's excitement, a tingling anticipation of what this could mean for us. There's a flicker of fear, too, because this path we're on, it's uncharted, dangerous in its own way, and I don't know where it leads. But above all, there's a renewed connection, a thread between us that feels stronger now than it has in years. It's as if the events of tonight, as unconventional as they were, have stripped away the layers of numbness and left us raw, real, and bound together in a way I never expected. My voice, when I finally find it, is steady for the first time in weeks, maybe months. The next morning, I wake up in a small bedroom upstairs in the cabin, the kind of room that feels like it's been untouched by time. Sunlight streams through a cracked window, casting jagged golden lines across the wooden floor, warming the air just enough to chase away the early chill. I can hear the distant sound of birdsong outside, a soft, melodic trill that weaves through the quiet murmur of voices drifting up from downstairs. I'm lying on my side, the worn quilt pulled up to my chin, and I feel Ethan beside me. His arm is draped over my waist, a gentle weight that anchors me to this moment. His breathing is slow and even, a steady rhythm that contrasts with the wild storm of thoughts still lingering from last night. I don't move right away. I just lie there, soaking in the calm that settled over me like a soft blanket. It's so different from the numbness that's been my constant companion for months. There's a quiet strength blooming inside me now, fragile but real, like the first green shoot pushing through frozen ground after a long winter. I shift carefully, not wanting to disturb him, and slip out of bed. The floor creaks under my bare feet as I reach for a thick sweater hanging over the back of a chair. I pull it on, the wool scratchy against my skin but comforting in its warmth, and I pad quietly to the door. As I head downstairs, the voices grow clearer, though still hushed, like they're trying not to shatter the morning's peace. When I reach the bottom of the stairs, I see Caleb, Marcus, and Leo in the main room, packing up their things. Their movements are deliberate, almost methodical, as they fold clothes into duffels and stack gear by the door. The charged energy from last night has dissipated, replaced by something softer, more subdued. They're not strangers anymore, but they're not quite friends either, just acquaintances who shared a strange, intimate moment that none of us will ever quite forget. They glance up as I enter, their eyes meeting mine with a quiet acknowledgement. No words are needed. I feel a subtle gratitude settle in my chest, a recognition of the role they played in pulling me out of my shell, even if it was just for a fleeting chapter of my story. I nod back, a small gesture, but it carries everything I can't say. I'm standing there, watching them finish up, when I hear the familiar creak of the stairs behind me. Ethan comes down, his hair still tousled from sleep, his hazel eyes catching the morning light as he steps into the room. He's holding 2 mugs of coffee, the steam curling upward in lazy spirals, and he hands one to me with a small, knowing smile. The warmth of the mug seeps into my palms, grounding me, and I take a sip, the bitter richness of the brew waking me up a little more. Without a word, he tilts his head toward the door, and I follow him out onto the porch. The morning air is crisp, biting at my cheeks, but it feels alive, invigorating. We stand side by side, leaning against the weathered railing, and watch as the mist rises over the forest in slow, ghostly waves. The trees stretch endlessly before us, their dark green needles shimmering with dew under the first rays of sunlight. It's a view that feels like it could swallow you whole if you let it, but right now, it just feels vast, full of possibility. I take another sip of coffee, letting the warmth spread through me, and my mind drifts back to everything that's happened here. This cabin, this forest, these unexpected encounters. They've changed something fundamental in me, in us. I've spent so long feeling like I was drowning in the gray monotony of my life, like every day was just another weight piling on top of me until I couldn't breathe. But last night, with its raw, unfiltered moments, cracked something open inside me. It wasn't just about the heat of connection or the rush of feeling alive again after so much nothingness. It was about rediscovering a part of myself I thought I'd lost forever. And Ethan? He wasn't just a bystander in it all. He was the one who brought me back to life. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.